What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Collective Comics and the Lights Comics Action Podcast. We are coming back at you today with episode number 42.
We're in person.
Finally,
It's a little bit different. It's kind of a last minute decision to do it this way, so it's a little wonky.
A little bit different, but I
Yeah.
kind of like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's easy setup. This is easy setup.
Oh yeah, way easy. You know, even I think when we do it over Riverside and we have a guest, it's still pretty easy.
Oh yeah,
but
Riverside is easy.
Yeah, but getting the time zones figured out when
yeah.
we have like somebody in New York, somebody in LA, and then we're sitting here in Chicago. We're all three in different time zones. Right. It makes it one hell of a game.
Yeah,
to play.
I'm just saying, for an in-person setup, this one was easy.
Yeah,
this is my
nice.
Riverside setup. We just back up a little bit, and here we are.
There we go. There we go. We're in the Jungle J studio.
Yeah.
Studio Jungle J.
Yeah, it's a studio for sure.
Yeah, dude, this is dope. This is the first time that I've actually seen the whole setup in person. Since...
Oh yeah, because this is different. I used to have the DJ stuff back here and all kinds of stuff. So
yeah,
it's a little different. I like it.
There was a point in time where you had two desks in here and a little corner desk, and this was like my desk.
Right, yeah, we had like a little hub of operations in here.
Yeah.
This little room is transformed many times.
Yes.
But we're getting closer and closer on the basement. You know, I remember when we started the basement, I was like, month. We'll be done in a month.
Yeah, right.
It's been the whole year now, so. But we're making progress. Life's been crazy.
Yes.
Been chaotic.
Same here.
It's been wild. But we're getting there. We're getting there one little step at a time. You got the new job going on. I was to Hawaii.
Yeah, man. We've been everywhere.
Went to Oklahoma. It's been wild, but yeah, we're in person finally.
Again.
We went to see a movie last night.
Yes, we did. I was so stoked. To go and see this movie, and guess what happened? I was so stoked on this movie, and guess what happened? I fell asleep.
I feel like it's not a Collective Comics movie review unless Javier has fallen asleep in the movie.
Yeah, I'm super upset. You know, are we diving in right away, or we should probably throw the spoiler alert up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if we're jumping in, we gotta say spoilers right now.
Yeah,
but even just going to see the movie, that was the first time, because Flash we didn't see together.
No,
we didn't see Flash together. We've been on Riverside this whole time. So last night was like the first time that we've even been in the same room together.
I think Flash, you had COVID.
Yeah.
You had COVID.
And then I went to go see
stuck.
it by myself so we could talk about it after I got not COVID. After I was done having COVID.
After you were clean.
After I was sober, I went to see COVID. I went to go see Flash. Oh man.
Which was I don't know. I thought Keaton was cool, but
if you haven't seen how we feel about Flash yet, there's a whole Flash review podcast. Go check that out.
We're diving into the CGI.
I was somewhere the other day and I saw like this thing full of dolls, and I was like, "Hey, these are the actors from the Flash."
Yeah, right.
But
this is the models. It wasn't CGI. It was literally
it was just dolls on fishing line.
It probably would have looked better, honestly.
Probably. I don't know. It probably would have looked the same.
I think we found out that they ended up having like some kind of split second. We do have to cut this scene and make this very, very quickly.
Because I think it was going to be a volcano scene or something, and it was the last minute change, but. Still wild.
9 years and still last minute changes. Right. Probably the longest movie to be filmed.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
There was a movie that took like 15 years, but they did that on purpose.
Right.
Because they literally like had the actor as a child and made him go through life. And he just, as he physically changed, they filmed the movie.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. But
I wonder if, I don't know. I know like the first season of Arcane took like 7 years, but that was also it's a show, and that was like their first season, and so I don't know.
And it's way more than an hour and a half worth of content.
Right, yeah. 9 years is a long time. But we're not talking about Flash today.
Nope.
We could talk about Flash for another 3 hours probably, but
we're talking about something that took a lot faster.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. We're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Mutant Mayhem. Went to see it last night. Spoilers, we're getting into it. I was thinking about it last night because it almost seems like I didn't know anything about this. And then all of a sudden it was like Seth Rogen or the TMNT Mutant Mayhem Instagram or whatever was like, hey, this is happening. Here it is. Couple months. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
You know?
It was very, very fast. I definitely found out about it on Instagram. So social media marketing is just proving to still crush the game.
Yeah, and I think they did it in such a good way where, like, I think we've talked about this before. It's almost like we know about Marvel and DC movies for so long. And then by the time they come out, it's like, all right, here, we're going to see another one, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, with this one, it was the dog's down here just off camera. So
yeah. I'm just playing with your knee.
Yeah.
For the audio listeners, it probably looks kind of funny. So hop over to YouTube and clip it.
Yeah, so I think we've talked about this for, like, DC and Marvel. What are you doing, guy?
This is Onyx. This is Onyx. This is the dog.
Not the dog that they used in the Flash. But
it looks much better.
We've talked about this before where, like, you know about DC and Marvel stuff for so long that it's almost like not exciting when it comes out. And then this one was like, hey, in a couple months this movie's happening. You don't know about it. Here it is. Boom, boom, boom. There's a bunch of names and actors and all kinds of stuff. And you're going to see it in August.
Yeah. I think it was like April or May.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, it was a matter of months that, like, announcement found out the cast and that, like, Post Malone was in it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Ice Cube.
We'll talk about, like, I mean, Seth Rogen, obviously. Seth Rogen is the man behind this whole project.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ice Cube, Post Malone. We got Maya Rudolph. We got Paul Rudd. The girl from What We Do in the Shadows, which is, like, a huge show right now. The girl from The Bear was April O'Neil. The Bear is a huge show right now on Hulu. I know a bunch of people just watched the new season, me included, and that played with everybody's heartstrings like crazy. Just the names in this movie were crazy.
They were huge.
Yeah.
Very big
John
names.
Cena. You know? So it was wild, you know?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite things. So even if I wasn't a fan of the Ninja Turtles, just Seth Rogen making a movie and an animated film, I would have probably went to go and see it, especially with Ice Cube being, like, the main protagonist. I was like, let's do it.
You're being wild.
Onyx is all over me.
Come on.
It's all right.
Lay down or something. Just lay down. Calm down.
I love puppies. I love puppies. Unfortunately, about a year ago, I lost my dog, so I very much love your dogs and your cats.
Right. This is the joys of recording in person at my house. You know, when we were downstairs, we just closed the door and, you know, but now he'll just bark at the door and wait to come in. So
if you guys want to see more of the animals, just, you know, drop that comment. And share.
I got a couple TikToks and stuff. I don't post TikToks very often, but sometimes it's of the dog or the cats or who knows. But
people like the animals, man. I don't know what it is. People love animals.
Collective pets.
Collective pets. All super pets. Right. We get into those what were those dogs? You remember those, like, eye dogs or something like that?
Neopets? What are you talking about?
There were those, but then there was I think it was like Digitech, but I remember a dog with a big head. It always had his head sideways, and it was like a little robot dog, and everybody went crazy for him in, like, 2004.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I remember, like, Target used to have the dog, and didn't, like, Radio Shack or something have a dog? It was like
Taco Bell had the dog.
Oh, Taco Bell does have a dog.
He's like, oh, Taco Bell didn't have the dog.
We need to get some Taco Bell.
Why doesn't Taco Bell have the dog anymore?
You know what does have pets? There's animals in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
They're turtles. There's a Superfly. What do you think of Superfly?
I thought that they specifically made him around Ice Cube.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You know, they were like, we want Ice Cube to be the villain. let's make that villain.
Yeah.
I don't know if Superfly has been in the cartoon from the 80s.
Yeah, I don't know how much he's been around. You know, you always kind of get the Rocksteady and
Bebop.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
Mhm.
You always get
I thought we're
them.
gonna get a Krang for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I was going into this wondering if we were gonna get Shredder
Mhm.
because we really didn't hear anything about Shredder, but then we got him in the mid-credit scene.
Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
So I'm excited. It looks like there is gonna be another one.
Mhm. They didn't like officially say that, but
Yeah.
they hinted it hard
Right, yeah.
at the end of this movie, which got me very excited. I was like, okay, maybe we're gonna get this whole Seth Rogen universe of Ninja Turtles.
And I think it's interesting too because I can't think of a time where like all of like Bebop and Rocksteady and everybody were on like the side of the turtles.
Yeah.
You know, so going into that, it's gonna be interesting to see how the second one plays out, and Shredder and the Foot, I believe. I always get confused with
the Foot Clan,
the Foot and the Hand from
Daredevil.
Yeah.
Marvel, not Marvel.
Over. I guess let's go back to like just the style overall. What do you think of the style, the sketch style?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, especially because there was definitely like certain points where I can hardcore tell like the core of the turtle was like modeled and like 3D sculpted. I don't know the proper term, but a lot more video game-esque and the outline of them was like Spider-Verse, you know, and it was hand drawn on a 2D piece of paper, and it's floating above there because they can't make it really curve.
Right,
and as the core moved, the outline kind of moved away and stuff like that. Those were the little like details that I noticed. And then there was that kind of in the intro scene when the moon was real ginormous and they're floating over the moon, and you see all these little squiggly lines, and they're all individually moving on top of that, and then they had the core of the moon that was floating, and I thought that was really cool.
My wife was just in Colorado, and so they had the TV on just whenever they were in the room or whatever, and she said she had saw something. I think it was a Seth Rogen, and they really wanted to like go into like what it would be like if a teenager sketched this like in a notebook in school.
Yeah.
And like just like the effects around like the lights and around the ooze, like the lighting effects and everything with the 2D scribbles and stuff was so cool.
Yeah. It was sloppy, but
right.
it was it was neat too though.
It's almost I think I told Olivia it was like this is almost like really high quality lo-fi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's it's like low quality intentionally, but like on high quality resolution. Like you get really high quality, but that intentional scribble and that intentional like kind of
like putting
chaos.
a film
over
something, or like a filter effect to give you that ambience and stuff like that. The whole tone of the movie I loved, especially the city at night. There was one question that I did want to ask you, and I kind of asked you last night, was how you felt about Splinter.
Oh yeah. Because you had said something. I like Splinter.
I'm gonna go out there. I did not like Splinter. It wasn't the Splinter I was expecting.
Right.
I love old, wise Splinter.
I have also one of the old, not old. It's probably one of the more recent animated TMNT series
from Nickelodeon, right?
Might have been. I watched it on like Hulu or Netflix or something.
Yeah, but, I think that's Nickelodeon that made it, but they made this one too.
But the Splinter in that's just like old fat dad, like
really
sitting on his recliner, gets mad at the turtles for interrupting his TV time. Like, it's pretty funny.
Wow.
We'll see if that's going.
It's still going.
So reach out and move that every once in a while.
Yeah. Technical difficulties.
Right. But yeah, so I think this was a nice like midpoint between like clowning on Splinter and making him like a joke and making him like the hard edge, like, you know, scolding them like kind of like the old 80s style Splinter.
That's the Splinter that I love.
Right.
You know, I didn't even really know that there was, because I never watched that.
Yeah.
Even when I was a kid, I would watch it sometimes, but I don't really remember Splinter. I really remember the old movies that are live action, with the suits, and the other ones that came out, what was that, 2005, 2007 ish, ish live action where they were CG, and it had Megan Fox as April O'Neil.
Oh yeah.
Though I loved Splinter in those,
Really?
as well. So I was kind of expecting that Splinter going into this, and then when I was like,
Yeah,
that's not Splinter.
I think the one thing that they did really well in this is like splitting that like kids vibe with the grown up vibe.
Mhm.
And I think Splinter was a really good portrayal of that because like he's soft enough for like kids to really enjoy him, but like as an adult you can really see like how much he cared for them and like he was just looking out for them. And then like his love interest at the end of the movie was pretty funny, and I don't think it was like done in like a cheesy way. I think it was actually done in a funny way, and just having Jackie Chan behind Splinter was so awesome to me, having him watching like the old kung fu movies. And I
Yeah.
was like trying to see if like it was old Jackie Chan movies that Splinter was watching as Jackie Chan is voicing Splinter,
That's funny.
But
I didn't even look for that.
yeah, I think it was like old Bruce Lee and stuff. I don't know if they snuck a Jackie Chan movie in there or not, but
They probably did.
why
not?
Yeah,
Why not?
Yeah,
why wouldn't
I
you
thought
put that
for
Easter
sure,
egg in
like
there?
it'd be old like Jackie Chan movies.
Yeah.
But also just like having him come from like that martial arts stunt background and having that in the movie, there were just like elements of it that I really enjoyed. And then at the end of the day, like he is a backseat character, so he's not like a main character in this one.
Mhm.
So it really didn't affect me too much that he wasn't like that old grizzled like kung fu veteran. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was the one thing that kind of saved him, is that he wasn't throughout the entire. He was throughout the entire movie,
Yeah.
but it was just like for a minute or two here and there.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't like a core. Splinter's hurt. Splinter, let's save Splinter. And stuff
Right,
like
yeah.
that.
And I think it's really cool too because the way they portrayed him as, finding the old movies and having to train himself, and if he is a mouse or a rat in the sewers that came across these turtles, he's not going to be like this really good martial artist. He would
Yeah.
have to train himself somehow and be unsure of his skills and things like that. So I think, but what I was saying before, like that divide between like adults being able to enjoy it and kids being able to enjoy it, I think Splinter was a good version of that. I also think Superfly was a good version of that. The Ice Cube lyric references that he would do, like
the Missy Elliott,
Right.
the Missy Elliott reference.
Like us, we know that, but
Yeah.
as a kid, it's just like, oh, this cartoon's saying something cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the thing is that they know that the parents that grew up with the
Right.
Ninja Turtles are going to go and see that, and they know, oh, this was the late 80s, early 90s. Who was popular back then?
Yeah.
Ice Cube,
Right,
So
yeah.
then he's sitting there throwing all these rapper references
Right,
left and right, and I'm just like, that is awesome. Yeah, my son would never understand that.
Right. I think
maybe
I
but-
love it when they do, because I mean it is a cartoon. You know what I mean? It is kind of targeted a little bit more towards the young audience, but I think they put those Easter eggs in there in a really good way to be like for grown-ups, us and people older than us and younger than us, whatever, to be like, oh yeah, like I get it, I got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that comes from Seth Rogen being behind it. They couldn't have had a better director
Oh yeah.
and like point of view, for the Ninja Turtles. He probably grew up reading the Ninja Turtles.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that goes back to the whole, they wanted it to look like it was a college kid in a dorm, sketchy kind of look. That's what Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman did.
Yeah.
Was in their dorm eating pizza, drawing the Ninja Turtles just that way.
I did notice, I was scrolling through just to see some of the other voice actors, and Kevin Eastman did have a cameo as a voice in the movie.
I saw something in the credits and I was
yeah.
like,
I was
what?
like, oh, that's cool. You know?
Yeah.
But also, like, Kevin Eastman always seems down for stuff like this.
He's a goat, dude.
I mean, it's not like Seth Rogen was doing him bad. You know what I mean? And
oh, no way.
he was out there doing his thing, and I mean, this is just a movie that I just really enjoy. I feel like out of all of the movies that we've seen through this Collective Comics Likes Comics Action journey, like this is definitely going to be the one that I see multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be like a background noise movie for sure. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just like so cool. It's probably going to be one of those where like I turn it on for background noise and then I just end up watching it, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, like Black Adam and Quantumania and stuff like that, like I like the movies and I've really been thinking about watching them again, but I really feel like I need to sit down and watch them. You know what I mean? Like to just follow the whole movie and all the action, and it really seems like something I need to sit down and watch to just kind of take the whole thing in. Whereas this is like, I feel like this movie is so good in so many different settings. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can throw it on while you're falling asleep, throw it on in the background. You can sit down and watch it. You know, and Turtles are just really nostalgic, you know, and it's not something that's shoved down our throats like Marvel and DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
It's gladly taken.
Yeah,
down our throats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you take it any day.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking for more Ninja Turtles to shove down my throat. You know, like I'm constantly looking at that, and I think the one thing that might have had my opinion on Splinter, and it still is the way that it is, was that I'm very fresh off of reading The Last Ronin for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, and he's very wise. They literally throw it back to the old school black and white way that they drew it,
Right.
you know, and gave you more origin, gave you more on Splinter and stuff. And they praised him for being so wise. And yeah, he was strict, but it was all for a reason, you know. And it whether it showed it now or later, they noticed, you know. And Ronin, I don't want to spoil that one for anybody. The Last Ronin really noticed and really appreciated that, and is kind of seeking vengeance for the death of his family, and that's the Splinter that like is fresh in my head,
right?
You know, so I think that's what I was like.
Which overall, I feel like
Mickey Mouse, you know, or Chuck E. Cheese. That's what I felt like, honestly, and I was like, oh no,
because Last Ronin is also very dark compared to most Turtles. I think you know what I mean. So. Definitely
it's for us older fans.
Definitely coming off of that is definitely an interesting take, and then going into something like this would be kind of like almost like not a culture shock, but like definitely like a shock of some kind. You know what I mean? Going from that dark side of Turtles to like this cartoony, scribbly, you know, kid friendly thing is definitely a change. I feel like the one thing I didn't like. And it's not like I didn't like it. I feel like it's the only thing that I can find that like I really didn't like about this movie. Is it's definitely not like a timeless movie. There's definitely a lot of references to like pop culture right now.
Whereas with TikTok and everything, yeah.
And it's definitely not something that like 10, 15 years from now it might not ring true. But I mean, you also go back to old 80s movies, and they're definitely referencing stuff that's like, oh, I remember this, but it's also like this has been a long time, you know what I mean? Whereas like I do think like the animation style and stuff will probably hold a lot better than those the live action foam costumes that they used in like the 80s, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. Overall, outside of Splinter for you, is there anything else that you saw that you weren't like a big fan of?
There was one other thing, but you guys got to hit the subscribe button to find out.
I'm hitting it.
Right.
It's out now. I've not been subscribed to our channel until just now.
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me. No, I'm joking.
I'm like, oh, I go to look after. I'm like, oh, I wasn't subscribed.
Yeah. Well, we got the 2 channels now.
Oh yeah,
you know, but so there's an excuse there.
Make sure you're following Lights Comics Action YouTube channel, because all these podcasts are going to be coming out over there.
Yeah, we're trying to move the whole podcast and the hour-long episodes over to the Lights Comics Action podcast.
Right.
Specific YouTube channel.
And if you're watching on the Collective Comics channel, the link's in the description for that. Just click it, go over there, give it a follow, check it out over there.
Indeed it is.
So what didn't you like? Now that I've subscribed.
I think it took way too long to get Superfly.
Oh, okay.
And to get into the whole thing that was happening.
Yeah.
You know? And I fell asleep. And is that on me? I don't know. You gave me the same origin story that I already know, you know? So for too long, that's my only like little gripe with it is, was it good? Yes. But did I need the same origin story? Could you have gotten through that a lot quicker? Yes. You know,
Right.
I think in those live action ones, the first one, they said that they told the same origin story, but they did it within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and in 5 minutes you got the whole origin story of the Ninja Turtles up until that point.
I will say, because I mean, I've been a huge stickler on that with all the DC and Marvel stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing, is that like if we're gonna do it for the other ones, it's kind of like, well, every single movie I feel like we get the origin story.
I think the one thing that makes this different than those is this was targeted towards a younger audience, and we haven't really gotten. Say what you will about the ones with Megan Fox as April O'Neil, a lot of people are really mad about that origin story.
Yeah.
Other than that, we really haven't gotten this origin story since the 80s. You know what I mean? In a movie.
Yeah.
So if you're targeting,
I've been watching a lot of the old stuff.
So if you're targeting a younger audience now in 2023, as opposed to like us who saw it in the 80s and 90s, we've seen that. And the other thing that I think makes it different is like with like Spider-Man, for example, we've seen the Spider-Man origin with Tobey. We've seen the Spider-Man origin with Andrew, and we've seen an origin with Tom, right?
Yeah, Tom Holland.
So since 2001, we've seen that origin 3 times.
Yeah.
So now going forward, like we probably don't need another Spider-Man origin for another 20 years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I do agree that it could have been shorter. I was thinking that I did like how they did it a little bit, just because it was like, all right, we're progressing. And then we get a little flashback of, this is how I met you. This is how you're turtles. This is the ooze. This is blah, blah, blah. Okay, going back into the story. And I think this was a different time too, because like they were learning karate, like they were learning martial arts. They were meeting April. They were, we haven't even gotten a Casey. If we get a second one, maybe we'll get a Casey in the second one. So I think it is. I think we could have seen Superfly a lot sooner, but I also feel like, where would the movie have gone if we saw Superfly earlier? I mean, I think there was Superfly like trickled in, because we saw him at the beginning with the scientist that got grabbed. Mm-hmm. We saw him grab the armored truck or the ice cream truck or whatever. We just didn't see him. We didn't know it was Superfly. And then Superfly steps out of the car, and you hear Ice Cube's voice. You're like, oh, dang. You know what I mean? The reveal was there. But I mean, granted, it was only an hour and a half movie, so I think it moved pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. I just think that the second half is where everything really was like action packed and nonstop, and it was awesome, Mm-hmm. And of course, right before that is where I kind of fell asleep. So there's a little bit of glue that's missing there that I'm like, if they would have just gotten into it, I would have been awake,
Right. But yeah, overall, what'd you think of the movie?
Off of what I saw, I would honestly say a 9 out of 10. And I think that's probably the highest score that I've given a movie. Yeah, because I'm always like, I gotta knock it for something, But these are little gripes that I have, and there's kind of an explanation for it, especially because there's a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff, but there really isn't, right? In comparison to the massive amount of DC stuff that we have, and the massive amount of Marvel content, and shows and stuff like that we have now.
And I think the big difference between a lot of the Ninja Turtle stuff and like the Marvel and DC stuff is, it's almost like the Ninja Turtle stuff is a lot of like shows that are like the old like 90s shows, mm-hmm. where it's like, it's just like this ongoing like episodes of like, you see the turtles, they get themselves into trouble, they get themselves out of trouble, the end of the episode. It's like that ongoing, like almost
very pumped out, like corporation pumped out.
Whereas like now with all these other shows, it's like always working towards a bigger story, always mm-hmm. working towards the MCU, always working towards some kind of DC story. And it's always a lot more, I feel like Turtles is always targeted more towards kids. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not as dark. It's not as like, I don't know.
I like Dark Turtles though.
Yeah,
You know?
it's not as interesting to you know, a lot of people who look at it's the same way people look at comics. You know, people look at an animated show and they're like, that's for kids. It's a throwaway for a lot of people. Comic books are for kids. Comic books are, you know, you're not actually reading if you're reading comic books. All this stuff.
Oh my
and
gosh.
you know, the same stuff that we saw in the Stan Lee documentary.
Yeah.
It's been going on for forever. And I think with this, and I think with Spider-Verse, you know, I think that's going to, you know, our generation is watching a lot of anime and things as well. So I think that's really turning a page as far as like, this isn't just for kids. It is lighthearted and
Yeah.
you know, things like that, but overall it's not just like a kids show. It's not just a kids movie. It's not. And I think the comic books are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
With the trades and the paper or the hardcovers and you know all that stuff is like showing people like this is actual material, you know.
Yeah, and you can kind of watch that if you go throughout history, and they showed that a little bit in that documentary that you were saying, is that even with the turtles, they're kind of growing with us.
Mhm.
So they're making a story deep enough for us to understand, but they're also making it lighthearted and, you know, enough for a kid to just grab their interest every 7 seconds, you know, type of thing.
I think turtles are interesting too because like granted it's called like TMNT, it's called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but there's so many times that I like completely forget they're teenagers. You know what I mean? I'm just like, this is just like dudes having fun,
Yeah.
like going out and you know what's the I
It's
feel
because
like
we never mentally grew up. You know, we're just like, these are the bros.
yeah, I feel like it's like kind of the same thing with like Spider-Man. I forget that Spider-Man's usually just like a high school kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing to where with some of them, I feel, you know, Tom Holland is a better Peter, but like Andrew Garfield was kind of a better Spider-Man, and Toby kind of, I felt like, surrounded that, you know, but he was also grown up a little too quick.
Yeah, I think
He was like fresh out of high school right away.
I think for me it was always hard to believe that Toby was in high school. You know what I mean? Like he just looked like an adult.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
and Flash. Flash was just jacked. Like, you're like, this kid is not in high school,
right.
bro. This dude's 30.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, like even with like the 80s movies, like April was like wasn't she working at like a broadcast center, like a news or
and
like she was an editor for a newspaper or something?
Yeah, that's the thing is that I think they made her a lot younger, more closer to the Turtles' age than anything else. I feel like she's always been, you know, if the Turtles are 16, 17 years old, 15 years old, then she's 25.
Right.
You know, working for NBC, you know, or whatever.
I kind of
TMNT.
yeah. I kind of liked her being like the same age as the Turtles. It almost added that extra, I don't know, like the dynamic.
The bond.
Yeah. Was like they had something in common, something to bond over. Yeah. I kind of liked it a little bit better.
And it wasn't so like the classic, like, oh, I have like almost like I have a crush on the teacher type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, because they were always hitting on her.
Right.
Back in, you know, even in the comics and in the TV show. But it was always kind of like, it's never gonna happen. It's still never gonna happen. But now it's like this dude actually has a crush and wants to feel human, a little bit.
And they're in high school together, and
yeah.
I feel like maybe that's why it's always felt like that, because like especially in like live action stuff, I kind of just base the age off of April because I in my head I just assume they're the same age. You know what I mean? If I see a 25-year-old April, I'm thinking the Turtles are 25 too because of the dynamic between them. So, you know, making April closer to that teenage 15, 16, 17, I think it just worked better in my head. You know what I mean? It's like,
I felt like there was always a range. You know, I always felt like maybe the Turtles were born a year a couple years apart from each other. You know what I'm saying? Like Raph's the oldest,
right?
You know, but he's always too angry,
Right?
You know, where Mikey's the youngest and just cares about skateboarding and pizza,
just having fun.
Yeah, and he just doesn't care. He's cowabunga, you know. I love it, dude. He did he? I don't think he said it once this whole movie.
You just said it. You just said it. I was like, did he even say it in the movie?
I don't think he did, bro.
Dude.
Mikey was still my favorite. Mikey's always my favorite. I love Mikey. I have a special bond with Mikey because I feel like he's an extension of me.
Yeah. I was watching something earlier. Like, I'm just not a good dude at like picking favorites. Like, we've seen it on the channel a million times. It's just like I just like everything. So
second is Raph. I love Raph.
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite Ninja Turtle. I feel like if I was going to pick one, it'd probably be either Mikey or Raph. But also like the other two are super cool too. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many cool things. I was actually Variant just put out a video comparing the turtles to like people in the Bat family, and Leonardo was Nightwing and Raph was Red Hood and so on and so forth.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was like, that makes sense. And then I was like, wait, I actually do like Leonardo. I was like, I like them all. I can't.
Yeah, you're like, wait, I like all these guys.
There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. And you're like, that's why I like him. He's Nightwing in turtle form.
But then like, you know, Raph is also like the Red Hood. I'm like, yeah, I also like that. They're so different. You know, they're turtles. They're all Ninja Turtles, but they're so different in their personalities, and I'm drawn to all of them for different reasons. So like, it's really hard to be like, this one is better than that one. It's like, I mean, without all of them, I mean, we see it a million times in like cartoons and shows and movies. It's like when they're not together, they fall apart and they're not as strong. But when they come together at the end, it's always way cooler. And, you know, without all four of them, it's just not as good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm laughing. I think your dog farted.
Did he?
I think so.
Oh, I don't smell anything.
I started smelling.
Maybe it's you.
It probably could be, dude. Maybe I did fart.
We are in a small room. So.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I think the dog farted.
You're like, actually, my butt feels leaky.
Yeah, right. Actually, you know what? I think it was me.
This is really high quality podcasting.
All right, man. But
that's what we do here.
Yeah.
You know?
But while you were explaining that, I actually had two things that I kind of remembered that I did have a little bit more gripes about. Raph wasn't angry enough more of the time.
Yeah.
He had his little anger fits, but he wasn't as alpha as he should have been. But I still liked him. It was there. But they're also, I feel like this is the youngest rendition of the Ninja Turtles, I feel like.
Pretty close.
You know, because I've always felt like, I definitely never felt like they were 15. I felt like they were 16, 17, 18, you know, closer to the
That's what we were saying.
20s.
You never really know how they just called teenagers. So.
Where's Kevin Eastman? Let's get Kevin Eastman on the podcast.
Right,
and dude, how old are the Ninja Turtles? When did it start? And how old are they now? You know, like how old is Mikey?
It's kind of like a Simpsons thing though, too. You know what I mean? So like, it's like how long has Bart been the age that Bart is? You know, or Lisa or Homer.
30 years.
Right, yeah. So it's kind of the same thing.
10 years old for 30 years.
They're called teenagers, and this is what happens, but it's not real. Like, it is just what it is. They are, you know. What was the other thing? Raph, and what was the other thing?
Now I'm kind of losing it and forgetting it, but there was one other. It was a small thing. It wasn't anything massive. I was kind of like, I don't know. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, I'm
losing my train of thought a little bit, but no, I thought it was a really, really good movie. Awesome take on the Ninja Turtles, but I do feel my 9 out of 10. I feel like it has to come down one.
Right.
I feel like it has to go to 8.
I'm like,
you want to know why?
Why?
Mikey didn't say cowabunga. If we both noticed that, and we just now noticed,
but we didn't notice it in the movie.
That's true.
You know, the movie was good enough for us not to even realize it.
Yeah, but I feel like if there was a good point to throw the cowabunga at the end, everybody would have went, "Whoa!" You know, because then we would have realized he said it. You know, he didn't say it the whole movie.
Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe you were asleep. So
I know, dude. I'm gonna cry, but like, dude.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry if I missed it.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe that was the scream that I heard. It was everybody screaming and it woke me up. Yeah. Whatever.
it was it just happened while you were asleep.
Maybe it did.
I'm trying to think of a reason not to give it a 10.
I was looking for it too, but I feel like
it's not like I don't want to give it a 10. It's just like I feel like 10 is really high. So like, do I want to give it a 10?
Just give it the 10, bro. One of us has to give it a 10.
I feel like it's a 10 for me.
And I'm too stuck in Ronin right now to give it a 10.
I don't have an issue with the story. We got I think they did the Shredder reveal at the end perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I think the characters and the voices were so good. I feel like there were certain elements that I was like, that doesn't really seem like this voice fits that model, but it was so like small that I was like, whatever. I think it's just because some of the voices were so like you see Seth Rogen when you hear Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even like Paul Rudd, you have to like think for a second, like, oh, that is Paul Rudd. You know what I mean? You almost get
there was
lost
a couple
in the character. Post Malone's character. I didn't even know who he was.
It threw me for a loop because I was excited that he was in it, but I kind of forgot going into the movie that Post Malone is playing somebody in this movie.
Right.
And then I saw Austin Post in the credits at the end, and I was like, oh yeah. I forgot. Right. I was like, who was he?
Right. So, I mean, I like the story. You had the comment about being a little bit slow to the villain. I don't disagree with you, but it wasn't like to the point where like it affected the movie in a big way to me.
It has the excuse.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's a 10 for me. This is out of all the movies that we've seen, this is definitely one like I'm going to watch again. Like the other ones, like, yeah, I want to watch them again, but this is one I'm definitely going to watch probably 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
I love the style. It is exactly what I wanted it to be. It's exactly what we saw in the trailer. I did like the trailer. I wanted to say this too, because like the trailer didn't give anything away. You know what I mean? You kind of got the idea of the movie from the trailer, which I think a trailer should do, but there's so many of those trailers you go see and you're like, everything I needed was in the trailer. I didn't need to see this movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You kind of know the storyline before you go into it, to where this was like, I still ain't know nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen in this movie. Will we see Shredder? Who is Post Malone gonna be? You know what I mean?
What is Superfly? That was my kind of question, but I don't know because I'm kind of late really getting into the Ninja Turtles. Don't get me wrong, I liked the Ninja Turtles when I was a little bit younger, but I was never like so obsessed with them.
Yeah.
But since Ronin, now I'm obsessed.
I was always like a cartoon dude, and in cartoons there's always like these one-off characters, or like, you know what I mean? So
Krang.
You always kind of get a different thing. I was never like a big TMNT comics dude growing up, but yeah, it's a 10. I don't have a reason not to give it a 10. So
10.
You know, if I want to do anything, it'd be like a 9.9. But you know, what I mean?
Is this the first 10 out of 10?
I think for me it is.
This is the first 10 out of 10
coming off the first like what 1 out of 10.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, I know we've been scoring so low recently. It feels good to be able to give something a really high score like that.
I was also just so excited about this going into it. You know what I mean? So like, for the fact that I was like this excited, and really nothing major was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That there's nothing that I can complain about really.
Right.
You know, there's like the little things that we talked about, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think those were like big changes for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I definitely it wasn't nothing that ruined anything. It was just like, oh, they kind of changed the origin here, they changed this here, you know, whatever. You know, I wonder how many people are going to be really mad about that.
There was no like car accident, but at the end of the day, the ooze still fell down into the sewer. You know what I mean? They weren't made in a lab or.
Yeah, I wanted to know why the turtles were there.
Yeah,
you know, that was the only thing, because I think that was one thing that might have been what I was going to say, is that we don't know why the turtles were in the sewer. It didn't say that the truck came around the corner, spilling the ooze, knocking the fishbowl down, and the turtles fell into the sewer with the ooze.
I didn't know there was ever a fishbowl involved.
Yeah, so that's the original story.
I thought the turtles were always just in the sewer for some reason.
No, No,
I knew about the ooze in the truck and the car accident and the kid, and that's why we think Daredevil is from this, and so on and so forth. But I didn't know
this kid had the 3 turtles in a bowl,
Gotcha.
or 4 turtles in the bowl.
The fourth one was just in there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, okay.
But in a fish bowl, taking it home from a fair or something like that, truck turned the corner too sharp, almost hit the kid, made the kid drop the turtles. It crashed right over the sewer gate.
Yeah.
They fell down with the ooze.
Yeah, I guess I just always assumed the turtles were just in the sewer. Because I was thinking about that to myself last night, too. I was like, why are the turtles just always in the sewer? Like, they're just always there. Like, I feel like turtles aren't just like a common thing always in the sewer, but that makes more sense now.
I remember what I was going to say. One of the things that I really, really liked is that we've never gotten the explanation, like an official explanation on why Splinter is so much older than the turtles. If the ooze fell on them at the same time, wouldn't they grow the same?
Yeah.
But he literally said it. He was like, well, the ooze affected me different because I was an older rat and you were baby turtles.
Yeah.
Dummy.
It was just kind of like a dig.
Yeah, it was like Seth Rogen being like, nobody's ever explained this, so I'm gonna.
Yeah. It was funny too because I just watched Mario the night before, so I got Seth Rogen Donkey Kong and then Seth Rogen.
Oh my god, yeah, Donkey Kong. Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah,
he was awesome. We never got to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't.
You can't know. Oh, but that's probably gonna end up being for a different day.
Yeah.
But
all right.
Wow, first 10 out of 10 on the channel.
10 out of 10.
I gave it an 8, but that was only because I feel like I had to. If I'm gonna complain about longer origin stories or getting in the movie too long for other movies, I kind of feel. And if I'm gonna knock other movies, I feel like I have to knock it a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's accepted because it is for new generation of turtle fans.
To me, it just didn't feel like it. To me, like.
That was me looking for something to really like. This is the little bit that I have to nitpick.
I feel like other movies, like for The Flash, for example, I was like looking at my phone, like, is this almost over yet? Like, waiting for it to be over. This one, I was like, I felt like I was in it the whole time. You know what I mean? It almost didn't even. This one could have been an hour longer, and I would have been fine with it. Saying that, but I don't think that would.
I got up from my seat, looked at my phone, and was like, it's 9:40 or something like that. I was like, are you serious right now? Like it went really quick. I mean, I fell asleep, but I don't feel like I fell asleep for that long, I didn't miss that much, but enough to go and see it again today. I mean, it was only like $12.
I might go see it tomorrow with some of our nephews, so
go do it, man. I need to take my son. My son's just been a little sick lately, so trying to get him better, and then I'll take him.
Yeah.
But I know Nicole wants to go see the Barbie movie too. Are you freaking? Are you freaking out?
Is there like a fly in here or something?
I don't know. The dog's freaking out. The dog's going crazy. All right. I'm waiting to see like a little mouse.
Right.
Just like and getting
a
it.
little turtle.
All right, Splinter.
All right. Well, I think that's the episode for today. Anything else you want to add?
Just check out the Whatnot stream. Come check out the Whatnot stream. We got a bunch of new Ninja Funk foils and Bolo's Playground and lots of heat going right now.
Yeah.
Whatnot has been popping, and if you haven't been coming and getting your deals and steals, you're missing out.
There's a link in the description to get $10 if you're not signed up. Use our link to sign up to get $10 on Whatnot. Use it anywhere on Whatnot. Use code Collective Comics at checkout on Dubby.gg. Get your Jealous Energy 10% off. And until next time, this has been Collective Comics.